Fight.
We're joined today by Anthony Dell'Orso, better known as Delly, as you'll see on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Most people know him by that at this point now. If you're thinking, okay, this is a guy coming into a Pac-12 team or formerly Pac-12 team now, who is this guy? What can we, expect from him? If you're an Arizona fan listening, we're going to jump into all of that. I got a chance to cover Delly last year as part of the CAA down at Campbell University. That was where we interacted many times, got to see you play. And now, obviously you've transferred to a Power 5 program. So I want to talk through that today. First of all, how are you? And this isn't the first time we've chatted before, but how are you officially in front of an audience?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. Obviously we've connected, like you said, a bunch, so excited to, make it a little more public and, show how well we know each other, really.
I appreciate you, having some time with me today. So look, I, went to some games your freshman year, wasn't covering it, wasn't going to every game, wasn't writing stories, recaps, whatever. And, now to see the growth from freshman to sophomore, I want to get into all of that, but to kind of take us to how you ended up in college basketball, because I think it's a really interesting part of your story. For those that probably don't know this, Campbell University was the only place to offer you out of, I guess, do you guys call it high school? I always get that mixed up overseas.
Yeah,
okay. Some places are like, they call it like secondary school or something like that. I always get that mixed up.
No, we just call it high school.
Good. All right. So out of high school, you were an incredible player, but Campbell was the only offer. What's that process like? Obviously, it's not this, here's 10 schools in front of me, maybe the transfer portal we'll get into in a minute. But what is it like? What's the conversation? How did Campbell find you? Can I, tell that story for us?
Yeah, so the recruiting process, obviously being in Australia, it's a little different than how it is over here. I was the year after COVID, so it was a little difficult to get out to America. Obviously, I wanted to. The plan was to sort of after I finished high school, because we finished high school in December. So that December till, June, July period, I'm pretty much off just working out. So I planned to come to the States and play like some circuits and stuff. But unfortunately, I got hurt. And then once I got hurt, I couldn't play basketball anymore. Couldn't walk for probably a few weeks or 4 weeks. Got surgery on my knee, and that kind of wrote off all my, agenda to come out to the States and try and get something. But I stuck it out. I kept playing in a we call it a men's league back home, kind of a semi-pro kind of league. I was a young kid at the time. I was probably 18, 17. Just playing. I would post my game film on YouTube with just uncut film, name, stats, all that sort of stuff. And then literally it was probably June 5th. I had no offers except a D2 school in Denver. And that was my only place. And I had verbally committed there. And then 2 weeks later, I couldn't do it. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to go anymore. Decommitted. And then I want to say June 15th, Campbell, one of my old coaches, Monty Sanders, reached out to me, just called me, 8 a.m., just cold call, random number. I answered it. He actually woke me up. I answered it. And he was like, yeah, I'm so-and-so from Campbell University. And, we've seen your film online and all that. And then he built the connection. He called me every single morning, 8 a.m. for the next maybe 9 mornings. And then they flew me and my parents out on a visit within a week. And then I signed on the visit. And that's pretty much how it happened.
That lines up with every story I've heard about Coach Sanders. So
yep.
Obviously got a chance to interact with him last year. He's now at Winthrop. I love that. I love that it backtracks to Coach Monty Sanders. So the process, it's really interesting to have the D2 offer out there, transition over to, however they found it. Let's say it's YouTube in this case, right? Just, that's a really cool way to connect how, regardless of COVID, like that's one of the best ways for guys like you to get exposure where, 16 hours away from on a flight or whatever it is, it's a crazy amount of distance. And some of the best way to connect with these guys is through, hey, here's me on tape. Like, I know we like to see things in person, but it's really interesting. So Campbell obviously plays a Princeton style of offense. Now, once you got there, once you kind of got your feet wet, I knew the freshman year went really well, but what was that, process growing your game like in the first year of college basketball, adjusting to, you can tell us now if it's easier or better or harder competition. I don't know. Obviously Australia is known very, very well for their basketball. But what was that freshman year like, and how was that adjustment, once you got healthy and once you started to play, and get comfortable in that new system?
Yeah, coming to Campbell was definitely a transition. I mean, off the court stuff, it was my first time being away from home. Being, essentially you become this responsible person where you have to start, feeding for yourself, really. That was kind of the first thing that kind of took me by surprise a little bit. I didn't realize how tough it was off the court. But being from Australia, like playing that semi-pro league, the physicality sort of aspect, I was kind of already there a little bit. Obviously, I need to get stronger and stuff, but it took some time to get how it kind of works in America. Like the style of basketball is completely different. Obviously, Princeton is a completely different step, something I'd never done. So it did take some time. I mean, I didn't get the summer, unfortunately, which would have helped me a lot, but I just went straight into it. And I think it was almost better that I kind of got there and just went straight to practice, straight to classes, because it was like I had no time to think. I just was so busy with basketball that it was like I was around the guys 24/7, playing practice, like pick up, all that sort of stuff. And it was like each day it was getting easier and easier and easier. But there is definitely a transition period. That's where guys like Coach Monty, like he was big for me. Obviously, he recruited me. Both me and him were new to Campbell at the time, so we kind of bonded over being new and still trying to figure out both ends from the coaching aspect and the player aspect. And he helped me a lot. But yeah, the Princeton was something that I'd never seen before until I got to Campbell.
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. I went to some practices earlier this week, and you can tell that guys that have been in it, you can tell the guys that haven't. It's something that
Absolutely.
like even I've never played at any level beyond whatever at high school, and if there are many guys, if there are guys like you that have to get time to adjust to and get used to it, did that play into your decision in any way? And that's kind of my transition to the next question, but you went out to after your freshman year, had an incredible moment in the Big South tournament. Campbell goes up to the CAA. How big of an adjustment was it? Was there a decision that I'm trying to figure out the best way to word this. Was the learning an offense and getting more familiar and comfortable in college basketball, was that a large part in your decision to stay at Campbell, or was it something else, or was it the transition to CAA? What was that was there a melting pot of answers there?
Yeah, so obviously my freshman year, I entered the portal after it. Explored that a little bit, but then I came back. And the real reason I came back was I kind of saw the plan that we had in place. Like the day I entered the portal, it wasn't like, oh, this kid's gone, we're angry with him kind of thing, kick him out. If he wants to leave, let him leave. It was kind of like I entered the portal, and the whole time Monty was like, hey, this is what we're going to do. You come back, this is what we got in place. Like, this is the plan, basically. It wasn't like you're just going to come back for a second year and do the same thing and then hope for the best. So, like, while I was kind of going through that process, Campbell was always a thought to come back. I wasn't at the door. Like, it was more of a test the waters kind of thing in the portal. But then once I started seeing that plan, like, all right, we're going to do this every day, or obviously the transition to CA helps, and like, essentially we lost a lot of guys my freshman year because we had a lot of old team, so we had a lot of fifth years and stuff. So, hey, you come back, this is going to be basically your team. You can get that experience of being the guy, experience of getting those practice reps and working out a bunch and all that kind of stuff. So that player development was the reason I came back. That was essentially all it was. It wasn't about the CAA. It could have been Big South still. It was like you come back, you put the work in, you focus on your body, you focus on, stuff that I wasn't really focused on my freshman year, because freshman year was more like, let me make sure I'm doing the right things and so I'm playing. Like I'm trying to earn playing minutes. The second year, I wasn't worried about playing minutes. It was more about, all right, what's going to take me to that NBA level? So weight room became like more important than the court for the whole preseason. Lifting, eating right was things that I never really took into account before I got to my second year, really. So I would say that's the reason I came back. That play development, I just knew it. Like with Monty there, he was like, we sat down every day in August with a piece of paper, printed out calendar with a little box for each day, and we wrote every single day with a pen, like every single day. This time we're doing this. This time we're doing this. This time we're doing that. For probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. And it wasn't like I'm waking up, in the morning, like, all right, do I work out today? Do I not work out today? I'm tired. It was just like, it's on the paper. You have to do it.
I love it. Being held accountable. All right. So I mentioned the jump from the low major level to now at Arizona. Before we do that, 2 full years here at Campbell, that has some rich basketball history, some incredible players like yourself have come through. What's your favorite memory of the last 2 years that's going to stick out whenever people look at the arc of your career and they go, at Campbell, this is what y'all got some stuff done?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great memories. Unfortunately, I mean, there wasn't a whole bunch of team memories. Like my freshman year, we were super close. I wish that was something we could have done. Obviously, my game winner in the Big South tournament was a standout for me. Gave us a chance. You know, accolades after my second year, and all that sort of stuff was pretty cool to me. Especially since when I came to college, I didn't even know like awards existed. Like I didn't know these were things. I didn't know anything about this stuff. It was just like you show up, you win, you go home. Like that's the plan. So I enjoyed it. I was happy to get obviously honored to get a bunch of those awards and lead the league in scoring some nights and most of the season really. And then so I would say my whole second year I had a blast. Like it was some of the most fun I've ever had playing basketball. And then freshman year probably that game-winning shot.
Yeah, the one that sticks out to me this past year was keeping everybody awake until God knows, I think it was after midnight against UNCW. It took I know a CBS Classic game was really great. Had some great CBS games this year. 8:30 start time was a choice, and then being able to can't take them out in overtime. It's got to take 2 of them, and that was a fun one for me. Especially,
that was definitely one of the best games I've been a part of.
It was incredible. I enjoyed it, every bit of it. So now, like I said, with the transition to Arizona, many teams were interested in you in the portal both times around, but this time around specifically, talk about the process of entering the portal and how you decide for everything to make the best decision.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I had almost pretty much every school. A couple teams obviously didn't come out because rosters were already set and stuff like that, but pretty much had anywhere. But after my first year, I kind of had a better experience of how it kind of goes. And how it's normal, you enter the first couple of days and it's like you just get bombardment of phone calls. So my second year, I kind of had that knowledge of like how it works, used it a lot better, kind of filtered out what I thought was real, what I thought wasn't real. And then it came down to, a few schools. I mean, I did 4 visits and it was close. I mean, I could have gone anywhere. I mean, some schools I was like, yeah, I'm coming here, and then things didn't pan out. And then Arizona, we spoke to them a fair bit. Spoke to Tommy's, really Tommy only. Like he spoke to me, him and Murph, Jack Murphy. Those 2 would call me. Like I didn't speak to anyone else. And yeah, it was just a great fit. I mean, the basketball side of it, like I always knew, and people who know how I play kind of knew that Arizona was always a good fit in terms of their play style, how fast they play. It's like it just fits me naturally. It was just like that opportunity wasn't always there. Like obviously coming out of Australia, that opportunity wasn't there. After my first year, it wasn't there. So then after the second year, when they came around, it was like, all right, this is what we got. Here's what I want. Here's what they're going to give me. And it was like a perfect match. So that's kind of the reason why I came to Arizona. But also, like, I mean, it's the Big 12. It's you can't get, in my opinion, any better than this. Like we're playing big games every night. So ultimately, I want to get to the NBA. And if you can do it here, you can do it anywhere pretty much.
Yeah, that's for sure. I want big games every night in that conference. Was there any team? I hate to put you in the spot like this, but I'm going to do it. Was there somebody? It sounds like Arizona was a comfortable decision. It was somebody that you had, felt like was a good fit for both sides pretty early on. Was there a team that, maybe you just missed out that was right there on the edge, and maybe it was something that came down at the end? Was there somebody that just you could be in a different color uniform right now?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple teams. One team specifically that I wanted to go to, and I thought it was a done deal, and things just didn't turn out. Another team, I mean, there was a lot more on the East Coast. Obviously, playing in the East Coast, I feel like that's just kind of how it works. Like you play in the East Coast, you get a lot more East Coast schools. So I mean, I don't want to say the exact name just because, like, it's in the past. It is what it is. But like,
that's fair.
There were schools. I mean, a few ACC schools were, it could have gone either way, but that's really where I was leaning towards. I mean, it was an ACC school or it was Arizona.
Love it. You mentioned Tommy Lloyd and his track record of developing incredible international talent in recent years is probably the best. It's arguably the best, if not the best, in college basketball. Talk about how much of a factor that was in that decision. You kind of alluded to it a little bit there in the previous answer, but his just unbelievable track record. Less of getting guys drafted. Don't get me wrong. Like still a great list, but it's just, we see these guys that are, and people who don't watch basketball overseas may not get this, but there are, like you said, United States basketball, you had to get used to different systems, different offenses, different defenses, all kinds of transitions there. And there are things that each individual country offers to the game of basketball. And internationally, you just see a different type of flair. And Tommy Lloyd has that experience. So talk about that process and how much that much of a factor it was for international roots in your game.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy's a great coach. I mean, international, he's been around a bunch. You know, he stayed at Gonzaga, now here. But his development, like you said, for the international has been, you know, close to the best, if not, you know, up there. But yeah, he kind of, when we spoke, he laid it out, and he's a straight shooter, which I like. I'm a very straight shooter, so we didn't really, you know, here's what we can do or can't do. It was just like, this is going to happen. He watched my film. He knew how I play. You know, people describe me as that kind of European flair to the game or whatever they say. He saw that and was like, all right, how can we take Campbell, you in that offense, put you in my offense? Here's how it's going to change. Like, these shots, now you're going to get those shots, like catch and shoots, off pin downs. Like, it was just a different style that I had never really been around, just because of kind of how I was at Campbell, the scouting reports and all that. But he kind of took it into account that, you know, his development skills, which is something that, I mean, that's the reason I came back to Campbell. That's one of my biggest things. Like, I need to go to a place that respects, you know, play development, and that's their one thing. Like, you could be playing 40 minutes a night or 0 minutes a night. If you're working out every day, you're lifting every day, you're working out, you're going to get better. Like, Arizona isn't the be-all, end-all of my career. So, like, I need to make sure that I'm getting better, and it's not like I'm just wasting my time. We'll see what happens, and then, you know, we'll just let it play out. Like, he respects the development part. And then obviously his track record with internationals was like, I can't get much better than that. So he talked about it, but that's the reason I came here. The play development was, he nailed it first conversation.
So when you talk about goals, earlier you mentioned some of the accolades. Obviously, the freshman year being that close to the NCAA tournament, putting Campbell in a place that hasn't happened since 1992. When you look at the roster, you guys are super experienced, right? Jaden Bradley came from Alabama, who has championship experience. Caleb Love, of course, we know was basically a shot away from a national championship a few years ago. And obviously Trey Townsend as well, not necessarily a backcourt mate there, but you know, he just came off of a run with Oakland. Talk about how important it is to have guys around you that have been in the NCAA tournament and have that experience, and how much you've been able to lean on that. I know you guys haven't played a game in the Big 12 yet, but talk about how important it is to have teammates around you that have high-level college basketball experience like yourself, but also in the tournament.
Yeah, experience is something that you can't teach. Like, it's got to be earned, and that's the best thing I noticed, especially for my freshman year, sophomore year. We were both great teams at Campbell, but like my freshman year, we had, you know, fifth-year point guard, fifth-year shooting guard, you know, Zeus off the bench, who was a fourth year. Like, we had a lot of older guys, and in a system like that, people that, like you said, you can tell someone who's been in it and someone who hasn't been in it. And when you got that experience of what it takes each year, you know, what matters in August, what matters in September, is going to show up in March. So having guys that have been there, kind of, obviously Caleb's been around a lot, and JB's been around, you know, Alabama and now here, Trey being to the tournament and stuff like that. But that experience is something that you can't teach. Like, you have to value that. And I think that's something that we have, which is great. Because we know, like, what it takes at practice. We know the level of the standard has to be. We know when we lift weights, whether we go to, like, you know, walk around and kind of lazy on through, or we got to take it seriously, because that's going to matter. Like, that's experience. That's something that you learn over time. So I'm excited to see, you know, that play out, because you play teams, like, every team in the Big 12 is good, but not every team in the Big 12 has experience. Some teams haven't been there. So I think that's something that can really take us far. We got guys that are ready for it.
All right. Last question on the way out of here. Well, kind of a two-parter, right? Personal goals for you, and then what's something about this team that's going to surprise the college basketball world?
Personal for me, obviously I want to get to the NBA. It's always been my dream. So have a, you know, great year, whatever that is. Get ready for anything I can. NBA, dominate the Big 12, have a great season, all that kind of stuff. And then as a team, what will surprise others? Obviously, that experience. I mean, we're so new. Like, we got a lot of returners, but we also got a lot of new guys that bring difference to Arizona that I don't think we've seen before. Like, normally, you think of Arizona, you think of high lows, and you think of two bigs, kind of taking out the paint. Well, now we got a firepower of a backcourt. Like, we got one of the best backcourts in the country. So, like, that fast pace, that shooting ability, that getting out in transition, I think that's something that teams won't know because they won't know how to guard us. Like, you take away one person's thing, we got 4 guys, and I seen online how people say, like, who's the point guard or who's going to be the 2 guard, and it's like, over here we don't really care. Like, it doesn't matter to us. Like, I can get the rebound and go 94 feet. Caleb can get the rebound and go 94. Any 4 of us can grab the rebound and just go. Like that, I think that's something that we have that is a weapon that people won't realize until it's we're playing and it's almost too late. So I'm excited. This is the most excited I've been to see the level and experience it and see how we do.
Look, I'm excited for you guys. Arizona, obviously, rich basketball history. You're going to play a huge part in that. Big things coming this year. I greatly appreciate your time today. That is Arizona transfer Anthony Dell'Orso. For him and everyone else around here at the 2 Pointers Podcast, we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.